Well, it's my great pleasure and honor to introduce Tim O'Loughlin, our musician and topic speaker today. And his topic is a recipe for spiritual progress. Is that right?
Close enough. You would actually have about 5 titles if I went full out, but
Is there an egg on?
I don't know. Yep. Well, one of them says that.
Gotta hold it in.
That's on.
There you go.
Okay. Now
Then you gotta move that one away.
This song sort of encapsulates what I'm going to be talking about today. It's the most recent song that I've written. I've been sitting here thinking about how we get to heaven above, and what to do with these things called forgiveness and love. When I hold them in my hand, they lead me to the promised land, where they fit together like a hand in a glove. We're free to do our will, yes, so it appears, as we learn to let love calm all of our fears. Love will guide us if we ask, and forgiveness is our task, when the heaven we long for is finally here. We're free to do our will, so what do we choose? When the answer's within, nobody's gotta lose. May we find the divine spark that's been there from the start. Love is the answer, love's the good news. Whether strong or meek, we'll rise to answer the call. Whenever heaven summons, we'll be there standing tall. We know where to begin, the answer's from within, where all's love and all is forgiving. Now I'm sitting here knowing the kingdom of heaven's within, where all's love and all is forgiving. I know that in my heart I've been there from the start, where all's love and all is forgiving. Yes, when I hold them in my heart, I find I've been there from the start, where all's love and all is forgiving. Now I'm switching from being a musician to being the speaker here. The reason that I'm here, really, it was the reason that I went to MCSL a little over 10 years ago. And that's because I had been studying afterlife books and learning about what one particular author said about what heaven was about and how to get there and why we get there and what the purpose of our lives are. And that author is a woman named Roberta Grimes. She has rather interesting titling. The first book I read is called The Fun of Dying. And then I read one called Liberating Jesus. Liberating Jesus from Christianity is what it's about. And the third one, the most recent one that I've read is called The Fun of Growing Forever. And so what Roberta talks about the liberating Jesus was channeled and was written in about 2 weeks. It's talks about the purpose of why we're here, which is to attain spiritual growth. She starts talking about quantum physics and how the quantum physics actually proves the existence of God, because they have figured out that the space between atoms and the quality of atoms themselves and particles and waves is such that there is no material universe, which explains a lot of psychic stuff and deep trance mediumship and all that kind of thing. I don't have an outline, but I do have her table of contents in this one book, which I'll refer to. Roberta studied afterlife stuff very thoroughly for about 50 years. She's in her early 80s now. She does podcasts, and I watched a lot of them. From her podcasts, I found out about the medium that I used to do a medium reading about 10 years ago, and with a woman named Suzanne Wilson, which was very, very fulfilling. She was billed as the real deal by Roberta, and I found her to be such. The purpose of your life is spiritual growth is one of the titles in here. And to talk about spiritual growth, what she's talking about is the 7 levels of heaven. There are 7 levels of heaven, at least. The bottom 2 are what Yeshua referred to as the outer darkness, and if we don't work on our spirituality, that's where we could end up. I don't think that's going to happen to anybody in this room, but there are a lot of people who think that they're spiritual, who build a life around their religious beliefs that actually makes them end up acting in an unspiritual way. The levels 3, 4, and 5 are known as the Summerlands. That's a Viking term. And it's a beautiful, fabulously beautiful place that most people who are reasonably spiritual or just decent people end up there. And then there are the upper levels, 5 and 6, which are more cerebral, and then there's the 7th level, which is God itself, and apparently people, except perhaps Yeshua, don't go up there. But once you're up there, you can come down. And so the purpose of life is spiritual growth to get you to the highest level as possible. The reason it's our task here is because that's why we come to be incarnated on this planet. This place is a very, very difficult place to spend time. You don't have an easy job here. There's a lot to overcome. There's a lot of negativity. And when you're in heaven, there's nothing to push against to attain spiritual growth. As Roberta says, it's like lying on a spiritual couch. And so we come down here to do spiritual growth. And the reason that you want to have spiritual growth is because once you get there, getting to the next level is it's a craving that you can, it's very much one of the things that's very much on your mind and your desires. I have personally experienced a message that was combined with a physical experience that was from a different level. And so I know what it's like to feel the next level up. In 1987, I was very much in an alcoholic situation. I drank every day, starting at 11:30 in the morning, and I was in a bad way. And on one particular day in the first week of December 1987, I went to pick up my kids, and the babysitter wouldn't let me go home with them because I was a little too tipsy to drive the car. And she sent me into a darkened room to sleep it off a little bit. And I was in there, and all of a sudden, the room filled with light. And I experienced the most amazing sense of love that I've ever felt before or since. And it was accompanied by one simple command: you must quit drinking. And I had tried to quit drinking pretty much every day for 3 years at that point without success. I would like to say that made me quit drinking forever, but it only made me quit drinking, and it was a tremendous accomplishment at the time for 3.5 weeks. And then I went back to it, but that feeling of awe and love, and it was like standing on the edge of the Grand Canyon or up in the Sierras multiplied by a factor of 100. Just incredible. And I didn't have the support that I eventually was able to use to quit drinking, which happened the following April, when I made my way to Alcoholics Anonymous, and have not had any alcohol since my first AA meeting. I didn't, my sobriety date, it actually dates from 2 days after that, because I unfortunately celebrated my newfound sobriety by snorting cocaine. I didn't get the entire picture. I knew alcohol was bad, but anyway, I was remonstrated by my sponsor at the time, and was able to quit drinking and eventually embark on a spiritual path. In AA, you're supposed to find a power greater than yourself to rely on to quit drinking, and I definitely had a power greater than myself to rely on. So, having experienced what a higher level of spirituality feels like, in that vision that I had. What I can tell you is that it does make for a craving. You want to have more of that. And apparently that's the way things work when you get to heaven itself. You want to have as high a level as possible. You can make progress spiritually in heaven. It's not a complete couch experience, but it's just slower, and that's why we come here to incarnate. One of the things that Roberta talks about is the problem with religions. And what she says is that pretty much every religion will provide more obstacles than anything else for spiritual growth. And so what can we do in the here and now to do spiritual growth? And what she says is that it's actually very simple. It starts with an attitude of gratitude. I know we talk about gratitude a lot in here, and that is seen as very, very important. The next step is what she calls universal forgiveness, which is essentially the same as what Brigitte talked about a while back when she talked about not needing forgiveness if you give up judgment. Forgiveness, as Roberta talks about it, is to have instant forgiveness before you even come to a judgment. You just have a situation where you are forgiving all the wrongs against you or even just inconvenience. One of the examples that she gives is that driving her car is a wonderful spiritual exercise, because she was apparently, until she was in her late 60s or early 70s, a horrible horn-honking driver who one time she actually got on somebody's tail and followed them so closely that they drove to a police station. And so she immediately was able to find that as a way to exercise universal forgiveness for someone who cut her off in traffic. The next thing that she talked about was universal love. Love is the energy that makes up everything. Danny Barca has a song that says, "God is all there is." And we are a part of God because God is all there is. And so if you focus on the fact that there is God in you and that God is love, it gives you a pretty good recipe for making spiritual growth here on earth. That's pretty much it. Love, gratitude, forgiveness are a way to live your life in a way that not only benefits you here by making you more calm and serene and easy to be around, but it also helps raise the collective energy of all of humanity. The more people who do it, it's like Malvina Reynolds said, love is something that if you give it away, it ends up being more. And so it's time to pass the microphone around and get your ideas on the subject.
Thank you, Tim. Thank you, Tim.
Left or right?